started coming down here almost right from the beginning when they came down here because this is like I know it's been used a lot, but it's a grass seeds movement. You know what I mean? It's like the beginning of a real movement in this country. People are starting to stand up and shout that, hey, you know, there's a lot of crap going on in this country that we don't agree with. There's 100 different issues down here. People say, we want to hear what you're all about. You know what? We're all about 100 different issues. Okay? There's not one issue that we're about. You know what I'm saying? If you want to sum it up to one thing, people are mad. That's what it is. You know, I'm a U.S. Army veteran. I'm not one of those dirty hippies that they say are down here. I'm not one of them trust fund babies. You know, my father's a retired cop. My mother's a retired church secretary. They both voted Republican. I voted for Bush, okay? But then I voted for Obama. But you know, like I'm not set with anybody. You know what I'm saying? I'm a disabled Army veteran. Served 6 years. Got hurt in Bosnia. I'm down here because I'm pissed off at the wars right now and all the money that's going into the wars. Okay, bring our boys and our girls back home. Okay, it's done with it. We're done. Okay, Iraq, we shouldn't even have been there. Okay, Afghanistan, we're there too long. Get out. Okay, that's it. I'm done.
All right.
I'm not a trust fund baby. I live paycheck to paycheck.
And one thing influences something else, if it works, of course. And I said, well, yeah, very similarly, in 1936, I believe it was, or it could have been 37, the workers in Flint Auto Company, GM Auto Parts in Flint, Michigan, sat down and gained recognition for their union, and that led to recognition of UAW throughout General Motors, and that sparked sit-downs, workers' sit-downs throughout the country, all over the country, including many retail outlets, including Woolworths and numerous manufacturing plants, because that served as an inspiration, and that actually caused these, I think it was in the Supreme Court at that point, they were deliberating the legality of the National Labor Relations Act. And after that, the Supreme Court agreed that the National Labor Relations Act was legal and could go forward. And one of the reasons was that they wanted to stop these sit-downs. They wanted to make it a legal avenue for recognition of unions. So things that spark, that work in one place, spark them just like here, right now. It started in New York, and at last New York starts something that works. And throughout the country, there are 1,100 Occupy sites throughout the country. Well, that was 2 days ago. It's probably near to 1,300 by now. It's tremendous. So whatever's happening, it's working. And whatever criticisms people have about this movement, bull, because this is what's working. It works. Stick with what works until you need to do something else. But right now, they're doing everything right. And tomorrow's demonstration at Times Square will be awesome.
At 5 o'clock.
Now,
5 o'clock.
Right now, as two young hippies, because of course they keep saying that it's only young kids here, young out-of-work kids here.
Right.
How do you feel as a young out-of-work kid being down here?
Well,
oh, you're nasty.
As an old out-of-work kid, fortunately with a defined benefit pension after 31 years working for the public sector, at long last, people are getting up and saying no. My entire career as a trade unionist was spent trying to stop concessions. We started in the late 60s, and the rest of it has just been give it away. And we're going to stop that, and that's what the kids are here to do today.
Wonderful.
Stop it.
Kids down there. What do you say?
After I work, I come in. You know, one day, I was from the wide sector of American public relations. You keep looking at the phone numbers.
So I'm bringing out a whole series in the next few weeks. I have to tear myself away from this joyful center here and walk to the East Village and go to the t-shirt printer because I need hundreds of them at this
Some people all over the country want to order them, and so you're helping people be involved who can't be here.
Right.
And that's important. People like me who live 1,000 miles away.
So could you tell me about where you're from? Tell me your name.
Sure. My name is Patty Lindholm. I'm a family physician, and I work in Fergus Falls, Minnesota, which is way out in western Minnesota near North Dakota. I'm a recent past president of the Minnesota Medical Association. I happen to have a brother living here, and I was planning to come out here anyways, and then this started, and I was even more excited about coming out because people think that it's just the unemployed that are concerned about this. Well, I'm employed, I have a stable career and so on, but I see my patients, my friends and neighbors all the time, my family members struggling to get by, and they do not have the money to join PACs or lobby corporations and lobby the government, and nobody cares. Nobody cares about these people, and really, we can't, when 0.1% of our population has 99% of our wealth, something is wrong. This is America. Also, I'm very concerned about the fact that this has been a very peaceful protest, a very nonviolent protest, and yet people feel that this is disorderly and somebody needs to quash it. I really don't understand that. This is the United States of America.
Now, can you tell me something since this is the first time you're seeing the occupation, right?
Right.
What was your understanding of what was the information that went to you to inform you what this was prior to you seeing?
Well, actually, the articles by Paul Krugman I thought were very pivotal because I respect him and he knows what he's talking about. And when you see a Nobel laureate say, start paying attention to this movement, Occupy Wall Street, because this could be a turning point and also an opportunity for our government to get their act together and say, okay, the gig is up. It's time to reform and to turn things around and remember who we're working for. We're not working for the wealthy and the powerful business interests, that we're supposed to be working for our citizens. We are the ones who vote and elect them. So that was one message that I got before coming here. Another message I got when I would watch on television or see on the internet, we are the 99%. What a powerful statement that really is. We are the 99%. Well, that includes me, that includes everybody in my hometown, that includes every member of my family, my friends, all the patients I care for. We are all the 99%. And we are not all unemployed, we're not all homeless, and many of us are very highly educated, so we cannot be dismissed so easily.
Now, why do you think that they went out of their way? Because now you've seen what the crowd actually looks like. You've talked to a bunch of people. You've kind of felt the energy. You've seen they have a functional library.
Right.
You know, what do the people that are the detractors from where you come from, what do they have to learn about this?
Well, I think what they need to learn is that the people here they have jobs to do, they're educating others, they're very serious, and they don't want to just come out here and make noise. As you say, there's a library here where they really want people to understand the economic issues. They have plenty of people here who are willing to publicize all around the country the plight of the former middle class. I'm not sure we have a middle class anymore. I really am not sure. But also the fact that people are cleaning this park, they're feeding each other, they're welcoming each other. I have seen absolutely no skirmishes. I've seen not even arm wrestling, nothing bad going on out here. And quite a few interested tourists, obviously. But it's great to see them here because people are interested. They understand something important is happening. They wish they could be a part of it. Just like so many of us in Middle America, out in the rural areas, would love to be a part of this, but can't make it out here. So I think that many people here are representing the vast majority of Americans, and we're thankful. At least I personally am thankful for that. Can't speak for everyone, but I am.
Well, you do know that there are literally hundreds of occupations around the country so they make it seem like there's only a couple of dozen around the country. But if you look at the map that's on OccupyTogether.org, there's tons of occupations in the Midwest. Although there's kind of a little hole in the center, a little bit.
I know Minneapolis has been starting one. I'm 3 hours from Minneapolis, and again have a day job that I need to do. But and I thought as long as I had the opportunity to be here, this is where I wanted to spend my time. Sure, I usually like to go shop and go to movies and museums and things like that. But they'll still be here. They'll still be here.
Now, what were the actual incorrect messages that you would receive from the media? Not because, you know, what Paul Krugman was saying was actually, you know, a very small amount of the information that was actually going out. And when you look at the kind of the negative messages, what kind of negative messages did you get since you didn't have an occupation right near you?
Well, the negative messages I got were these people were just drifters. They were people who were just generally disgruntled and didn't know why they were here. I kept hearing that there was no articulate message that was being sent out. I think the thing is that there is not one charismatic leader here, which is a good thing, because you can't say people have been brainwashed, you can't say they've been influenced by some charismatic character. All of them understand the issues that are facing themselves and their families, and they've spontaneously come out here, each one with a slightly different take on it, putting up signs with very serious information, and they don't need to have somebody, you know, in a political party running for president representing them. The people here understand what really matters, and they're not afraid to speak out, and they shouldn't be in the United States of America. Should not be afraid to speak out.
Right. Well, do you see a contradiction in the idea of, you know, how Democrats and Republicans alike all said the voice of democracy must be heard when it was in Egypt?
Yes.
And of course, one has to remember, which is a very tightly held secret, nobody in Egypt got a permit.
Right. And there wouldn't have been a permit probably, but yes, in fact, we were watching a well-done film this morning that I picked up on Facebook by somebody here who put together the images of Hillary Clinton and President Obama talking about those movements in the Middle East and about how people aspire to freedom and want to express themselves and should have the right to do that. And then it was juxtaposed to some of these areas where the officials have been trying to get people out or to drag them from the periphery, arresting people and so forth. So yeah, it's a very hypocritical message.
Have you seen any of the these kind of pinning tactics before, where they actually have the gates and so on and so forth?
I have not seen that before.
How does that make you feel when you see the police in such a kind of defensive stance to people who cause no threat, have no weapons?
Right. Well, it's worrisome. I walked a few blocks to get here today. There were many, many full-size coach buses with NYPD on them. Looked like they're ready to take away hundreds of people. And there are hundreds of police around this small area, which makes me wonder what's happening in the rest of New York City, and is there anybody out there to help crime victims or to prevent crimes? Because there is no crime happening here. This is a very peaceful thing. And if something happened, I'm sure they could call in folks, but to have hundreds of them in large buses sitting around and ranks literally lined up in almost military ranks on some of these blocks, the police, and you have to walk by them. They're being very quiet, but I think it's trying to send a message of intimidation, which I frankly don't understand. What's the need for that?
Now, have you ever been in a situation where you saw civilian police using paramilitary tactics such as these?
I have never been in a situation like that, no. Except I'll have to say in Latin America there were a few places that I've been where, but I thought, well, this is the way this country is. You know, you had people out there with rifles on street corners guarding banks and things like that, and you had police stopping people at checkpoints all over the place, but not in this country. I had not seen that in this country.
And how does that make you feel?
It makes me feel very insecure and disappointed. I thought truly that we were living in a free and safe country. I'm not not sure that it's free and safe for all of us. That worries me a great deal.
Thank you so much.
Welcome.